Greetings from Digital Indian Medical Association. I'm Dr. K.K. Agarwal, its Honorary Secretary General. Welcome to our show, Ask the Specialist. In all our shows, we have an expert, and today's expert with me is Dr. Daljit Singh, who is a Director Professor and Head Department of Neurosurgery at Delhi-based G.B. Pant Hospital, and he is a recipient of Delhi State Award in the field of healthcare. Welcome to our show, Daljit.
Thank you, sir.
When we talk about brain tumor, the first thing what our library users would like to know and IMA users would like to know is, today what brain tumor is basically linked with mobile phones. The fear, the myth. Everybody feels, because otherwise people never used to talk about brain tumor so much as they are talking about today, because there is a fear in their mind that if I'm going to use mobile phone all the time, specifically in the children, I may end up into a brain tumor.
Yeah, that's a very important question, and that you have given me a bouncer right from the beginning. So let me tell you, there have been number of studies which have been conducted in various parts of the world, including UK, Australia, and some of the Scandinavian countries, which have documented that there is no linkage of usage of the mobile phone with the genesis of the brain tumor. Now that sounds very good, but recently the WHO has come up with its own data where it has said now, rather unfortunately, that it is a potential carcinogenic source. So some results, some studies have actually said that there is no linkage, but the caution has been raised that it cannot be entirely ruled out, because one will have to depend upon some time more to know whether there is an absolute linkage of the use of mobile phone with the generation of the brain tumor, particularly acoustic neuroma.
There is a reader from Delhi who is specifically asking, and when do I suspect that I'm having a brain tumor?
Sure.
Is it that every headache needs to be taken care of?
See, that's another important question. First of all, let me reassure, every headache is not because of the brain tumor. There are certain headache, again, they may be having some higher degree of headache alone. Now over here, for example, headache which is localized on one part of the skull or the brain and is associated with nausea, vomiting, and is also associated with the seizures disorder, that's the patient is throwing fits, and there is some blurring of visions.
So the person from library user from Lucknow is specifically asking, she is a 33-year-old female, and I'm slightly turning around the question. I normally we say there is a tension headache.
Yes.
Normally we say there is a migraine.
Yes.
Cluster headaches are uncommon, but if I need to differentiate between a migraine, which will be recurrent,
Yes.
and then even tension headache will be recurrent, and tension has nothing to do with stress or attention, it has to do with the muscle tension.
Not necessarily. Tension could be any kind of a stress also. I mean, the differentiations between tension headache and the muscle tension headaches are two different categories. Someone who is in stress because of so many problems in their life, they may have only the scalp headache, which can be confused with the headache of a brain tumor in origin. So at times the distinction may not be clear-cut demarcated. The suspicion should remain.
I'll go anything unusual, anything for the first time, anything which cannot be explained.
Yes.
Don't ignore it.
Yes, don't ignore it. And again, I want to add up, any intense, severe headache in the life which patient has never experienced in a lifetime before should not also be taken up.
It can be either a hemorrhage, it can
be hemorrhage. It can be hemorrhage, it can be bleed within the tumor also.
So now another thing which has come is the Patna 40-year-old male, a Labrador user, still talking about that I'm suffering from headache for the last 8 to 9 years.
Right.
I'm not talking about the first onset. Somebody who is having headache for the last so many years.
Yes.
At what stage they should suspect that it may not be their usual headache? Say for example, a person is having migraine for the last 7 or 8 years, and now the intensity has changed or the duration has changed.
Yes, these are the indicators by virtue of which the change of intensity, indications, site change, and so much so that the frequency is also increasing, is becoming intolerant. It's become a cause for investigation, and here I want to put up a word of caution. I have seen a number of cases of migraine being on treatment for migraine for number of years, and then never been screened for any kind of radiological test. So I think if something is not settling down, migraine associated with vision impairment, either blurring of vision or deterioration of vision, is a very strong indicator of high degree of.
So at least one imaging investigation is justified.
It should be justified.
And if I need to do it, CT versus MRI,
right.
Which one should I go?
Oh. The choice is MRI because it's non-radiation, number one, safe in children's also, and it gives you even a better distinction between the anatomical and the pathological changes, locations in terms of the various areas of the brain. So MRI is certainly superior to CT scan in terms of the diagnosis.
Okay, this is a person from Delhi, a Labred user, and he's also hooked onto our IMA website, 29-year-old male, and he's talking about oligodendroma. So before I go back to a specific tumor, what are the different types of tumor? What is benign, what is cancerous, and which are the types of gradients?
See, in the brain, like anywhere in the body, there are benign and malignant. The most commons are malignant tumor in the brain, which are glioma. And glioma has 4 grades, grade 1 to 4, and the 4th grade is known as glioblastoma multiformis, which is the most malignant tumor. That's possibly the fastest growing tumor in the body. The tumor doubling time glioblastoma is 3 to 5 days. That means if I have 10 cells today, in about 5 days, there will be 20 cells. So that fast is the tumor growing capacity of glioblastoma.
Same question which has come from Chandigarh. The Labred user is asking specifically is that what is my line? That early means what? How do I, should I over investigate?
No, let me come to that in a little bit more clarifying tone. If it is a glioma and it has been diagnosed on an MRI, the next step would be what is the likely grade of the glioma, which is possible for us to know on the MRI what is the grading. If it is a high grade glioma, which is the commonest case, the next step is it has to be operated. And operation, as I said, would be depending upon what area of the brain it is located. We try to remove as much tumor as possible, but then it is not the treatment. It has to be complemented with the radiotherapy as well as chemotherapy, like any other cancer in the body. So for glioma or the glioblastoma, the effective treatment today is gross total removal of the tumor, that is remove the tumor as much as possible without damaging the
surrounding. As
early as possible, and then do the supplementary treatment in terms of radiotherapy and chemotherapy. But unfortunately, it is a tumor, there is no cure. It is likely to recur. We look for improved quality of life for maybe 5 years to 7 years time, despite radiotherapy and chemotherapy.
So it has a limited lifespan.
Oh yes, it has a limited lifespan.
What about others?
Others like benign.
And what about stage 1, stage 2?
Stage 1, 2 will have a longer period of survival, longer period of progression-free survival.
But they will still recur.
They will still recur in a majority of the patient. The window period would vary from say 10 years, 11 years to 12 years, but all benign tumors, gliomas I'm referring, would come back with high grades sooner or later.
And what about other tumors?
Benign tumors are curable. Meningiomas can be removed safely. Pituitary adenomas can be removed safely.
Surgically or by knife or gamma knife?
Surgical. When I say benign, they are surgically excised. Sometimes, by virtue of their location, we have to leave some amount of residual tumor because removing over would lead to damage to the surrounding structure. So we supplement with post-operative radiotherapy or maybe gamma knife or SRTs. So that's the standard treatment in these cases.
Again, another question which has come from a Labred user from Pune, 25-year-old male. He says, my uncle had suffered from a brain tumor. So what are the chances of it going through the family?
Going to the family, right. See, let me first give with an assurance, majority of the brain tumor do not occur in the families, except there are 2 or 3 conditions, like neurofibromatosis. That's a condition when that tumor can occur in the families. In that, you may find certain kinds of brown spots over the body in the family members. There can be nodules in the skin which can be a reflective that the family is suffering from neurofibromatosis. That is the only known condition where the families can develop tumors. Most of them are benign, not in malignant tumors of this.
Interesting question has come from Hyderabad, a 58-year-old male. He talks about tuberculoma. He's talked about parasitic.
So many of them.
Parasites into
parasitic, fungal, tuberculosis.
So what are the?
See, these are the conditions which we call as intracranial space occupying lesions. Anything which is in the brain and is producing mass effect can mimic a brain tumor. So it's not necessary that everything which is present in the brain is a tumor. Even hydrocephalus, even Alzheimer disease, even migraine, these are tumor mimic condition which can mimic brain tumor by virtue of the symptomatology or by virtue of their radiological pictures. So radiological pictures are generally, if I go simplify them, infective, parasitic, demyelinations disorder, and sometimes traumatic changes, and hydrocephalus. Even infarcts at times can mimic brain tumors. But it is quite possible these days to differentiate all of these with almost nearly 100% certainty whether it is a brain tumor or a tumor mimic.
Using the MRI.
No, there are other tests also, MRI, MRS, that is spectroscopic imaging. Then one may have to take the help of tractography, then may have to take help of PET scan and the SPECT scan. So collectively, or maybe at time one will have to go for a stereotactic biopsy to confirm whether the patient is having a tumor or a tumor mimic.
Then another question which has come from Faridabad, 37-year-old male, and he's talking about 60, 70, 80 plus tumors, age group.
Oh.
What is that?
See, that age group, that will be like something like geriatrics brain tumor. The metastasis becomes the number one in that age group because they would be having some malignancy elsewhere in the body which would have traveled to the brain. And once the metastasis happen, they are supposed to be as bad as glioblastoma multiformis, both in terms of prognosis and outcome. But then even there are certain metastases, solitary metastases in the brain can be excised safely, and if the primary source is also excised, they can live their normal life. Beside that, lymphoma, that is another very common tumor which can occur in the brain as well as in the rest part of the body. So these are
the last question has come from Visakhapatnam, and the person is asking is 0 to 5 years cancers. Cancers in the
infant and the children age group. See, the commonest tumor in those age group is the posterior fossa tumors, that is medulloblastoma. Beside that, craniopharyngioma is a tumor which occurs in the region of pituitary. And these children, they unfortunately comes to us with the refractory errors which had remained undiagnosed for a very long time. They go to ophthalmologist and they are treated with the regular changes of the glasses. And till the headache and those symptoms supervene the blurring of vision. So craniopharyngioma is another very common tumor. Beside that, there is a huge list of other tumors, uncommon tumor, which can happen in that age group.
So our Laborate viewers and IMA viewers, that's what we have discussed today. It is worth doing an MRI if you suspect a brain cancer. 2, sometimes brain cancer may require a follow-up MRI. In one MRI, you may not be able to get the findings. These are the 2 important messages. And third is that if you have a headache, don't go to your doctor and say, I'm suffering from brain tumor. Let your doctor decide. With your symptoms, he may be able to suspect whether you need an MRI or not. Every headache does not need an MRI. Let's thank our guest, Dr. Daljit Singh, to be here with us.
Thank you so much.
And we will come back. If you have any question, you can post on laborate.com. You can also post and ask your questions, general questions. We will be able to answer you back. And if you have a specific question to Dr. Daljit Singh, you can post it to Laborate, and I will be able to take answers from him and post it. That's all for today. We'll come back with one more show. Till that, goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.